Take the weight right back into the heels. Pull up through the center of direction, or roll your shoulders back and down. Be in your Tadasana. I'm going to give a demo. Now we're coming for Prasarita Padottanasana. Now, how do we know our stance on our Prasarita Padottanasana? Well, you have to be sure that you're feeling the floor with the outer foot bones. This is a really important instruction. This again will broaden that lower back. These legs will broaden the lower back. Alright, so just watch for a moment. What we're going to do here is to lift up through the center of direction, roll your shoulders back and down. The hands will go on the hips first. This is the first action. Action number 1. Okay, action number 2, still very active practice. Taking your hands, pulling on the lower legs, looking forward. Coming up. And then we have action number 3. So we come into this pose, either putting your hands onto some support or to the floor. Now, you've got to imagine that you're going to lift yourself up. Lift those heels up. You've got to push those inner thighs away from one another and get length. And that really is the nuts and bolts of it. The problem we have here is that it does take quite a long time to actually improve. Those of you who can, you're going to bend your arms. Alright, okay, your turn. Together, I want you to see that you are pushing and planting down with those feet. Now notice, can you still get the same action if you go a little bit wider? Remember, if you go a little bit wider, the floor will come closer to you. So lift those inner thighs and just check that you're getting that breadth and broadness by pushing and grounding. There's an area on the leg, this outer shin, which is really, really important. This outer shin, center outer shin, pushes down. It pushes down and it becomes an area where we can create so much strength and stability in the rest of the body. Hands on hips, roll your shoulders back and down. Keep that nice opening in the chest, lifting up. And then extending forward, coming halfway, extending forward. And then see, the chest lengthens forward, all the way towards the screen. Come on, lengthen that chest, lengthen the center of direction. Keep those legs firmly planted. And then take a breath in and come up. Well done. Take a breather and we go again. So this time we're going to hold on to those ankles, those outer legs. So be mindful when you are working on those outer legs that you pull on them very, very strongly. Very strongly. And you lengthen. So we're not going down, we're still working through the central body here. Ground down into those legs very firmly. Keeping that action nicely. Keeping the lift. Keeping the awareness. Keeping the understanding. Soft inhalation, soft exhalation. And then releasing and coming back up. Well done. Alright, so we come now for the third option. Taking the legs wide if you brought them together. Roll your shoulders back and down and lift through the center of the body. Hinge forward, look forward. And now extend forward, taking the hands to the floor. Now the hands can really work so well for you. Press them in, lift the heels up. Come on, lift the heels up so much. Lift the heels up. And now go and see, can you move those inner thighs away from one another? Prasarita Padottanasana. So as much lift as possible. You want to open the back of the thighs, back of the glutes, lower back region. All of this needs to be understood. Looking forward, extending, and then elbows bending towards the back legs, and then just let the head hang down any amount, wherever you land, And just be there for a few moments, breathe. Let those outer foot bones really be the brains of the pose. They've got to be so grounded. Remember, the outer foot bones, the center of those outer foot bones have got to connect with the earth so that the inner ankles lift and you start to get such a nice action in the lower back and the lower pelvis. All right, take a breath in and come up, standing Tadasana. So if you have a look at the screen, you can see, just level out my mat a little bit. I'm coming for Padangusthasana. Now when I come for Padangusthasana, you have to understand that although this is fairly narrow compared with how we've been working with these lovely long stances, this is narrow, but you have to be as big in this pose. So just see, if I go down like this, no good. If I do that, no good. You've got to see breadth and broadness, nice length happening, opening in the chest happening here. Shoulder blades are releasing towards the back waist. Keeping that action, keeping that extension, coming forward. Now, when you're halfway, you're going to push those arms away. Now, when you touch the arms onto the outer hips, you're going to see that you lift up again. So you're here. Oh, it's a bit of a killer. And then we take the hands down. And then we take the 2 fingers and thumb. And we're in this position. All right, so I'm going to talk you through. So hopefully you haven't started yet. If you have, back up to Tadasana. Have your feet narrow. Now this is very key. When you have your feet narrow, hip width apart, you've got to see that the stance is as effective as we've been working. So Prasarita Padottanasana, Adho Mukha Svanasana, all of this needs to be understood. Keeping that lift through the center of the body. Breathe, arms down. Now go and see, can you push those shoulder blades? So you want to see there's a little bit of movement between the shoulder blades and the ribs. Can you get that in your body? Go and see, can you get that action? Moving those shoulder blades really down towards the back ribs. Now when we come forward, we've got to ground down into the legs. We're coming forward, and remember there's that point of halfway where your arms are glued to your outer hips. So it's this action. It's this action. So that's quite a challenging one. So glue. Now lengthen through the chest, ground down into your legs even more. Yes, this needs to happen. And then take your hands forward. Well done. Now if you need to put your hands on a couple of bricks, that's absolutely fine. I worked on bricks for many, many years. I remember it's not the pose that gives you the health, it's the symmetry towards that pose. Alright, so now you're halfway and you're probably desperate to take your hands down. So take your hands down onto the bricks or onto the mat, whichever. Now just be there for a moment, still keep that breadth and broadness and that beautiful opening in the pelvis. Then take 2 fingers and thumb and catch. Now when you're there, keep your arms really nice and straight and lift and extend forward, so you're getting this really nice action forward. Grounding down into those legs as much as you can and breathe. Yeah, it's so hard on those legs to start with, and many, many practices, many, many days. It is tough on those legs, on the lower back, but persevere with your practice. Never give up with your practice. Make small stages, and then those little improvements will become big improvements. Okay, now releasing in the pose, taking the hands forward and coming up. Well done. So just take a look. So I'm going to jump the legs, take my arms, I am going to take my arms into the prayer position behind my back and turn my back foot in and the whole of your front leg out. So just have a look at the screen. Now, when you're here, you have to see that you make a point of lifting your outer front leg hip. This is very important. So when you're here, that outer front hip needs to really lift up because this is what you're lifting up and over. If you were in Tadasana, you wouldn't be dropping this hip. So all of these skin fibers need to work very strongly in this pose. And then we get the lift. So you've got to see that you don't drop into that front leg. It's so easy to do that. So you've got to get that lift. And then we come forward. We come forward halfway. But remember that you don't want to go down. You want to go along, all the way directed this way. As soon as you start to go down in this pose, you lose it. So you want to see that this hip is lifted and you come forward with that lift. Okay, so your turn. All right. Okay, so jump those legs apart. Take your arms either into folded arms or into the prayer position and just turn those feet. Now, you've got to be sure, like in the beginning stages, that we always say that the back hip's got to come round, but you're working a little bit more with precision today. So this hip's got to lift up. You can put your hand onto the hip and lift it up. That front leg hip's got to lift up. And then we lift up completely, extend, opening the chest, and then extending forward. Extending forward halfway only. Now this is where it all goes wrong for so many people, because we think of going down to the leg, but no, we've got to lengthen like we did in the plank pose, we've got to lengthen like we did in Prasarita Padottanasana, we've got to lengthen like we did in Adho Mukha Svanasana. So these poses really teach us so much about how we approach these forward facing poses. So see that you get into the action. Try and keep your balance if that's possible, and just be there, settle the breath for a few moments, and then taking a breath in and slowly coming up. All right, well done. So we change legs, we turn sides, so if you need to just shake the arms out a little bit, you may need to do that. Otherwise, straight into it. Come on then, let's go to the other side. Let me show you this side. All right. So what we're saying here is that this hip, this outer hip, has got to lift up. It's got to encourage that lift and rotation here. If you just bend here, this will drop, this won't liven up, this will still be dull and dead and not doing anything. And then you say, oh, why can't I do Padmasana? Okay, those of you got knee or ankle problems, then of course Padmasana is going to be a challenge. But otherwise, if these hips are just stiff, that's all they are. Just stiff. All right, so come on then, let's do the other side. Taking the leg forward, lifting up, and being mindful that actually when you come forward, you're lengthening forward. You're lengthening, extending so well, so much. Think about going down to the leg. That will be the mistake. As soon as you go down to the leg, then all the weight will be down, everything will be heavy, and you'll be grasping. And this will change the breath. It won't be a nice breath, it will be a hampered breath. The breath will be, it'll be panicking because you might fall over. So keep grounded so strongly, extend so strongly, lengthen so much, and take any amount. Doesn't matter if you come halfway. If you go a little bit further, fine. Okay, and then releasing completely. Okay, coming up, so you have to have tremendous stability, tremendous focus for those kind of poses, those forward-facing poses with no arms. Wow, such a challenge to do really well. We can do them, of course, but to do them well is such a challenge. This will be so that the feet are to the wall. So I'm going to go over this side to the wall and just show you, hopefully I'm still with you. Yeah, you can see that. You're just going to be in this position and you fan your feet either to the bottom of a unit somewhere or utilising some wall space, fanning your feet and just letting the legs release, let the abdomen release.